So, welcome everyone. Thanks for showing up. Tonight we have a wonderful speaker for you. I do have some notes that I'm going to be bringing up here. Tonight's presentation, we have Dr. Vic Manzo doing a presentation called The Living Temple, Aligning the Physical with the Divine. And the description for this presentation: in this inspiring 30-minute presentation, you will discover how honoring your body as a sacred temple enhances your spiritual journey. You'll explore the powerful connection between physical wellness and higher consciousness through the 4 pillars of nourishment, movement, rest, and purification. You'll also learn how caring for your body becomes a spiritual practice that amplifies love, presence, and inner alignment. And after this presentation, you'll walk away with practical tools to harmonize your daily life and deepen your connection to the divine within. And that definitely sounds exciting. But who is this Dr. Vic Manzo who is going to be presenting to us? Let's hear a little bit about him. So Dr. Vic Manzo is a renowned quantum mindset coach, certified pediatric chiropractor, 3-time published author, and the dynamic host of the highly acclaimed podcast, The Mindful Experiment, which is ranked in the top 1% of podcasts globally. Before evolving into an international business success coach, Dr. Vic spent over a decade as a practicing chiropractor, where his commitment to wellness and innovation earned him recognition as the best chiropractor, get my words straight, in his community for 4 consecutive years. His passion and leadership led him to being selected as Business Leader of the Year by his local Chamber of Commerce at just 32, making him one of the youngest recipients with only 5 years in practice. In 2016, Shaw Media recognized him as one of the best under 40 among 33 communities. And in 2020, he received the prestigious 30 under 40 award from his Chamber of Commerce. Definitely sounds like he's got a lot of friends in that Chamber of Commerce, so sounds good. Mark of a good person. Although Dr. Vic achieved substantial financial success early in his career, he realized something was missing. Feeling exhausted, burned out, and unfulfilled, he knew it was time for a radical shift. Deep soul searching led him to reimagine his practice based on the principles he lived by and the type of chiropractic care he truly wanted to offer. And while he took a 40% hit to his business during this transition, get my words straight, he gained clarity, balance, and alignment in the process. Instead of following conventional approaches that left him feeling like a mere copy of others, Dr. Vic focused on spiritual truth, ancient wisdom, universal laws, quantum physics, neuroscience, and mastering the mindset. His journey led to the discovery of what he now calls the billionaire success formula, a simple yet powerful approach to success rooted in inner alignment rather than hustle, grind, or sacrifice. Through his own experiences and in-depth studies, Dr. Vic has developed a unique process that empowers business owners, coaches, and chiropractors to thrive without compromising their health, time, or relationships. The Billionaire Success Formula has transformed hundreds of lives, offering a sustainable path to success and fulfillment. Today, Dr. Vic is the author of 3 books, including his latest, Decoding the Matrix, which is done in 2022, as well as Rediscover Your Greatness from 2018 and A Walk in the Dark from 2019. Beyond his professional endeavors, Dr. Vic enjoys an active, health-conscious lifestyle and treasures time with his family, especially in the great outdoors. He does have a link to a Linktree page where you can find links to a variety of free resources, as well as a link to his podcast episodes with over 500 episodes and counting. So with that introduction preparing the way, let's bring in Dr. Vic Manzo and show him a really warm Coptic welcome.
And thank you for the introduction. Thank you guys for taking time to be here. I'm excited to be here. This is going to be a mix of 2 worlds for me, the health side, conscious side, and how does that all come together? And I'm looking forward to take you through a journey to help you just how to how beautiful this body is. I call it a meat suit. It's a temporary thing that we get to enjoy for a short period of time until it's time's up, and then we transition back and or whatever belief we may have. But how we can utilize this amazing technology, and it's been something for me um, in my own journey to really understand it. And I remember I used to say this around 18, 19 years old. I'd be like, if I eat the food that God has provided, that come from an Italian Roman Catholic background. So this is what I was saying back then. I was like, if I eat the food that God provided, then I'll connect deeper and be closer to God in some way, shape, or form. I had no idea what I was talking about. It just sounded good. But as I was 3, 4 years already at that time into studying nutrition and herbology and Ayurvedic medicine and all these other things, the journey has helped me see it in a different way of how this amazing technology of what we have, especially just the mind itself, and what we can do to help keep it as clear as we possibly can so that it allows us to experience higher levels of consciousness. And I'm going to break all this down for you on how this plays a role, how does that actually work, and so much more. So, excuse me. So we know that we look at the body, and it has different, it's made up of different things. We have the physical side, we have the chemical side, all these chemical interactions that are happening every single day. There's over 1 million of them that happen just in every single second. And then we have the mental emotional body aspect of ourselves, and that plays a huge role. For some people, that plays pretty much, in chiropractic we say that's 80% of what the issue is a mental emotional component of some shape or form that causes the health that maybe that the person may be experiencing, whether it be a condition, an illness, a symptom of something of that nature. And then we have also the energetic aspect of it. And so many different layers to this amazing body that we have. And I love how science has come around. I can get very spiritual, but I like bringing the science. It kind of keeps me in a neutral place where it's like we have the science to know now how much, back then what aura fields were and all these other things. And now we know that there is, the biophotonic field or the torus field or morphogenic field, all the same terms, just some scientific terms for them all. And what does that mean? What does that mean for us? What does that mean for us in our consciousness? What does that mean for us showing up as our best version? How to express the uniqueness we have within our light, and so much more. So tonight I'm gonna bring the most simplistic but the most powerful thing that I can share with you that will connect the two, to help you really grasp and understand this beautiful vessel of what we have, and how the better we can take care of this, the better not only you're going to experience more optimal health, but it's also you get to express more of that uniqueness that you have within you, that soul, that pure entity of consciousness that you are, that little sliver, I say, of God that is the unique or infinite source, that is the little sliver that makes that up, but that little sliver is unique to you and only you. And how do we get that to be expressed as much as we possibly can? So that's kind of what we're going to go into. And what I'm going to break down is real simple stuff. It's just 4 simple pillars I want to share with you, but I'm going to try to take it as much as I can from the physical to the chemical, the mental, emotional, and then the spiritual. Some of them may overlap, but I want to share each entity of it, because when I say the first pillar is nutrition, you're going to look and go, great, this is a basic health workshop. But I want to take it further than that. I bet you never heard this before. And I should say this as I started to understand quantum physics better, and a lot more quantum physicists are coming into now biophysicists, and they're studying the body, the energy of the body, and the subatomic particles of it all, and all these different things. And this is a whole new world that's pretty fascinating. But food is codes. It's a coded system. It's not, oh, I eat this and it gives me this. Yes, we can look at that from the physical side. Like if I have if I want vitamin C, you think of the basic thing, it's going to be oranges, right? That's great, but there's a coding system to that, and different things have different codes. And when I used to teach, I teach a lot about, like, you can't lie to your body. Your body always knows. And so what I mean by that is, some people say, well, I'll eat this, or I'll eat some preservatives, or I'll eat packet processed foods. And, and I say, well, the more you do that, it's not natural to source. And so there's a coding system that the body's entangled with, or we're what's the word I want to use? tied with, related to, connected to. So we're connected to nature. So when things are not of nature, or the less it is from source, there's a different coding system. The body knows that. And so when we eat and consume things, they're going to be more closer to the source. Guess what? You get more vibrancy. You get more of that coding and of the energy from the electrons from it, for all the nutrition that may come from it too. And your body doesn't have to work so hard to break things down. It doesn't have to revitalize things to do that. So when we're looking at that pillar, yes, food is critically important. I'm not going to go and make this whole thing about what food to eat and so forth. Whole food's probably the best. And if you want resources on like, certain things, there's a lot out there. But I would say, I think the best diet for anybody is the one that you're in tune with the most. If you can get really in tune with your body and know, you'll know what your body needs. And you'll know because you eat something and you'll feel better. You'll feel good. You won't feel bloated or tired or exhausted or have mental fog or anything of that nature. You eat something and you feel good. That's usually a good sign that you're like, hey, I had something that my body needed today. But then when we look at nourishment, though, we're talking about physical, we're talking about chemical, but what about mental, emotional? How do we feed our mind? What are the things that you give yourself? What's the self-talk that you have? 90 to 95% of people, when you woke up this morning, you had the same 90% of your thoughts were the same as yesterday. And every time when you wake up in the morning, you're actually in the past. Your body's in the past already. And so what are you doing to shift that? What are you telling yourself? Do you read something spiritual, lighthearted? Do you have affirmations? Do you have mantras? My mantra is every morning that today's going to be an amazing day. I look forward to what's going to show up as amazing because I know it's going to be an amazing day. And I just look forward to the unknown of experiences that are going to come. And I'm just going to look to seek into that. And so my focus is already telling my body, my cells, and everything that, hey, it's going to be a great day today. And I'm not just saying it, I feel it. And I get excited. And sometimes I'll stay in my bed until I feel that, until I really do get, all right, I'm excited. This is really a clear blank slate today. And I'll get up and then go on for my day. And I'm looking for that all throughout the day. So I'll tell my wife, hey, guess what happened today? This would happen, this happened, this happened. She's like, you're looking for it. I said, well, yeah, of course. I'm only paying attention to that. I can talk about the other stuff that happened too, but nope, I'm just going to keep it here. So I'm feeding my mind. And I believe when you take care of the mind and you get into emotional state and you're feeding it good and you're nourishing it, that's going to help you spiritually. And this is going to help you level to higher consciousnesses or conscious levels of yourself. And I'll get into some neuroscience in a little bit on this, but this is the key component that you want to focus on and make sure of that you're doing every single day. So it's not only just eating good, clean foods. It's you're eating stuff that feels good to you. Not only just you feel it as like a belief, or this is what I believe I should be eating, or what I like to eat, but also you feel good with that. You know you're nourishing the body. You're giving it what it needs. And from there, when you have that, you're going to have more energy, more fuel and substance to nurture this body and take care of it because it needs these things. We're part of nature. We got to give it what it needs. And when you do that, the body thrives every single time. Because one of the things I learned being a chiropractor is one of the things we study is that, and we understand that the body, like nature, doesn't need any interference. No, it doesn't need anything except no interference. And we just got to give the support it needs of what the basic things are, and it'll thrive. There are other things I can get into, like basic supplements and all these other things, but I'm not, I want to keep this as simple as I can. So it's whole food nutrition from source. If you garden, that is the best that you can do. That's why I'm a big fan of gardening. I have a 2,400 square foot garden in my backyard. We try to grow as much as we can. And one of the reasons is I want to be able to pull the food right there and then, give it thanks, appreciate the plant, give it gratitude, pull that food and eat it right when it's ready. You get the most nutrients and so forth. But if you don't have that, then you try to work yourself to being as close as natural as possible with any man-made interventions like pesticides or GMOs. Those are all things that are going to be separate vibration, and the body knows the difference. The body has to work harder with that different system versus nature. And then the second thing is just, again, recapping that is, what are you feeding your mind every single day? What do you pay attention to? What are you reading? What are you listening to? And so forth. Make sure you're nourishing the mind and your emotions in the way that is going to, uplift you and make you feel good, because this starts to build a neural pattern And eventually you're going to seek it more. Eventually it'll be automatic. Eventually you won't have to think about it anymore. And you'll automatically do these things. And then your body gets addicted to the neuropeptides, where these little chemicals that get released that create these emotional responses. And you'll start to build this habit. And I'll tell you right now, it takes 84 days minimum to develop this habit. So this is how, because of attention span of humans getting less than a goldfish, it takes 84 days to neurologically create a habit. So it takes some time. You got to be patient with yourself, but you do that over a period of time, it becomes automatic. Okay. So that's the first thing that, diving into when it comes to that. The second thing kind of aligns with spiritual truth, or you want to look at quantum physics side of things. When you look at an atom or life in general, everything is always in motion, right? When we look at the body is designed to move. That's how we're neurologically developed. If you want to keep your brain young, you move, and you move as much as you can. Nobody's doing 13-mile walks a day or walking a total of 13 miles. That's the minimum it takes to feed your brain to the fullest. So we have to figure out ways on how to do this. And when I'm working with patients on walking and movement, it's funny because they'll be like, "Doc, it's so hard for me just to get to 5,000 steps." And I'll look at them, I'm like, 5,000 steps, that's like 1.5 miles, if that. And I'm like, "You can't go more than that?" They're like, "I'm trying. I can't get up there." Okay, we need to add more walks in your life. You're eating while you're walking. Like, we got to figure something out. You need to get to at least 10, 13,000. 13,000 is like a nice minimum. And so but the movement of the body itself. Now that's going to be critical. There are other things to do, like you can look at yoga or qigong, or these are good, tai chi. These are good movements for the body, but you got to move and move every single day. I'm physically active every single day. I work out about 4 or 5 days a week, and that's very strenuous workouts. And then, but then I'll have, like today, right before this talk, I did a 30-something minute walk with my wife and my daughter just to get moving. I had a long drive to get home, and I like to either go for a run just to get moving, or I'll take a nice long walk. That way I'm still getting my steps in and keep in motion. This is good for the body. You're giving it what it needs. When you demand more energy on the body, when you're working it, stressing it, and you're demanding more energy, the body creates more energy. That's why people who are physically active, they have more energy. They don't get tired as much. They don't get sick as much. They don't get all these other things. You're supporting the body for what it needs. So if you want to feed your brain, you got to move. Now, it would be a sin if I did not mention the importance of a healthy moving spine. Okay. Chiropractors are very misunderstood. We're one of the most misunderstood professions. I'm not here to talk about, I'll make this a chiropractic thing, but I did want to emphasize that when you look at what feeds the brain, I said movement. Well, 30% of your body feeds the brain with that's your arms and your legs. Your body pretty much feed your brain. It's about 30%, give or take, 33% if you want to get real specific. But the movement of your spine is about almost to 70%, so 67% exactly. And so what I'm trying to say is that the movement of your spine is 2 times more potent to your brain's health and longevity than your body is itself. And so this is why looking at what chiropractic can do, I'm not talking about just moving the spine. It's making sure that nervous system is free and flowing, because that's where your energy is. That's where your life force flows through, that we call it in chiropractic, your innate intelligence. That's where consciousness flows, your soul. There's many terms for this, but this is what allows to give body life and be able to let life and energy be expressed fully. And so if we don't have that happening for us, then we're also minimizing things on that level. So just that part alone affects everything: physical, chemical, mental, emotional, spiritual. It hits every avenue of it. And now this may be different for those who may be familiar with chiropractic, probably never heard it that way. And I get that a lot, especially somebody. I just had a patient today was like, "I've been to chiropractors for 30 plus years." And I'm like, you ever heard the word subluxation? They're like, "No." I said, "Then you didn't go to a chiropractor." And then I say that jokingly, but that's the terminology we use when it comes to looking at the nervous system and what's creating that interference, which just basically means less lighter life that the body's expressing. So getting that movement is going to be critical, because when we move better, then we feel better. And then we can have it shifts our mind into different states, and it allows us to get to higher levels. So let's use an example. Let's say you ever got angry before or frustrated, right? It's a very heavy emotion. It tightens up the body. It creates a lot of tension. There's a lot of fight and resistance. Well, what will end up happening is there's a way you can free yourself from that. You can sit there and do that. You can do other things like breath work and meditation and all these other things. But there's a book that I read back and came out in 1923. And I forgot the name of it. It was like neurophysiology or something. But it was fascinating because it said that when you're angry or frustrated, go hit a punching bag and hit it go as hard as you can for about a minute. And then you will see how you feel better. And I was like, that's interesting. And it was talking about how nature does this. If you look at dogs after a fight, they shake it off like crazy. Ducks do this. A lot of nature, pretty much all nature does this. It's a reset to their nervous system. So I was like, immediately after I read the book, I went out and I bought a 100-pound punching bag. And I was like, here we go, hon. I'm hanging this in the basement. She's like, what? What did you do now? I said, I need this. I don't get angry much, but I was like, if I feel frustrated or annoyed, I'm going downstairs. I'm going to punch like crazy. And what it does is it gets the energy out and it gets all that stress energy out, right? That lower vibe energy. And what will happen afterwards, you're a little bit more in like a relaxed state. It's kind of like working out. It is a workout, but you're getting that excess stress out. And when you can do that, then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm not so bothered anymore. I'm actually relaxed. I actually don't even care about that. And you get into a different state. And that state is your prefrontal cortex. You're starting to activate that more. And so when you do that, you don't let your part of your brain over here called the amygdala fire up and control you in some ways. So there's things you can do with that. The importance of just, if you're ever frustrated, exert it out. I have a 3-year-old daughter and I teach, this is what we teach her when she's frustrated. I'm like, what do you do when you're frustrated? We can do blow candles. We can bite or punch a pillow, or you can squeeze one of your stuffed animals, right? So what are we teaching her? That she can breathe it out and keep breathing till she calms, which will help shift that neurology. We're also teaching her then, hey, if you don't want to do that, you can go squeeze a pillow, stuffed animal, whatever. Sometimes she wants to grab and hold, and I'll say, or you can squeeze the pillow and you just squeeze as hard as you can. And that will work. Another one you could do is, if you can see in here, if you take your hands and hold a fist on both of them and put your thumb in there. So you're not like this, you're like this with your thumb in there and you hold it. And if you hold this as hard as you can for 4 minutes, I promise you're going to be in a more elevated state than you were before. Promise you, because you're going to exert so much energy into that the brain's going to have to let go of things that it was holding on to and go that way to you, because you're pushing energy there. And then once you're done, you're going to feel less stressed. And when you feel less stressed, you can elevate your mind to different levels, different higher functioning centers of the brain to allow you to see things in different light. So a couple tidbits there. That's going to affect every facet. It's real good to get the energy out, just energetically, spiritually speaking, because you can clear it out of the system, and it allows you to be at see things from a different level rather than the survival or fear or reactive. You actually are going to go back into being human and be more responsive. So the third thing then that I wanted to tap into the pillar is a no-brainer, but I can tell you the trends in the research in the United States, that what the data keeps showing is we don't do enough of this. And not only we don't do enough of it, we don't even do a good amount of good, deep quality of it. And that's rest. And I don't mean rest in the sense of just taking naps. I'm speaking strictly on sleep. Okay. The body needs it. You need it chemically. You need it mental, emotionally. People who don't sleep, I think it was, they didn't sleep for a couple of days. They were doing a study on people. I think it was like 48 hours or 72 hours. Their whole mental health tanked drastically. It is critically important. Everybody goes, well, we know sleep. That's great. That's good. But how many people here get 7 to 9 hours of sleep? Or how many people know what your actually sleep is needed? Like, what do you really need? Right? I'm a 6.5-hour person. That's all I need. I have technology to track this, to measure this, so that I know that I'm getting 8.5, 9 hours of good quality sleep in about 6.5. That's just how my body works. I've been doing this for 15 years. So, but there are things that when it comes to rest, how many here have a sleep ritual? Do you do something for the last 30 minutes? Now, a lot of people don't. A lot of people are rushing through the day, going through their thing and stuff, and then eventually they're doom scrolling on their phone before they go to bed, watching a show or movie before they go to bed. This overactivation of the mind, even though, and men are more notorious for this because we believe that we watch TV, it relaxes us. And it's the polar opposite. You may feel relaxed, and all it does is just the flashing images that you're not picking up on. The brain doesn't pick up on, but well, it does pick up on, but we don't see it. It looks like a stream of video, but it's all flashing images. Um, it kind of overstimulates, and then you just get kind of like overstimulated, so you get into more of a sleepy state. But how many have a ritual where they're starting to wind down the body, starting to wind down the mind, and starting to get yourself to relax? This is where having a nice gratitude practice in it. I do this right before I go to bed. So I said in the mornings, I what's amazing and this and that, and looking forward to it. Well, in the evenings, I get grateful for all the amazing things that showed up. And I look for the most simplest little things. And if it was some of the big things, I'll go there too. But I'm getting myself into a tone or a state. My whole second floor of my house is all red lights. We have lamps all over with red lights because we don't want any blue light. So we don't want to activate or disrupt the potential of having good night rest. And then I take a slew of supplements to help me relax, like magnesium and calcium. Um, and then there's other things that I'll do. We'll have, like, my wife and my daughter like to have a hot cocoa. Well, it's not really hot cocoa. It's just cacao with some milk. But I'll either do that or I'll do a tea. And what I'm doing is I'm prepping my body and my mind to know as soon as we turn on the red lights, it automatically knows it's getting ready for time to go to sleep. We start cooling down the house more during that time, the last couple hours before we go to sleep. So we do a ritual to get ourselves to sleep. And we need that deep quality sleep, not only just for physical benefits and health benefits and chemical, mental, emotional, but even spiritually, because if you get rest, you are capable of showing up better the next day. I mean, I've studied a lot of brain hacks and neurohacking and all this different stuff. And I will tell you, sleep is the number one thing that is going to help you show up as your best version of you. Let's face it, how many times you did not get sleep? How well and how much was your brain firing on all cylinders? How sharp was it in your mental clarity? Right. And this is where we see in society today, we're just not. And the research shows, I think this is a couple of years ago now, don't quote me on it, but I think the average American now is getting around 5.8 hours of sleep. And it changed from like 6.8 with like 10, 15 years ago. Don't quote me on this. It's been a while since I've done a sleep workshop, but I know it's been decreasing. And it's one of those things where and I'm like, okay, that's 5.8 hours sleep. Let's say 6 on an average. But then how is the quality? Because now we see more and more people have sleep apnea. We see more and more people that have obstructed to sleep and so forth, that they're not getting, even though they're sleeping, they're not really sleeping. And we know this because they wake up and they're tired all the time, no matter how well they sleep. And this is where this is critical to look at that and say, okay, if I have that, there's things you can do to change that, but trying to maximize it. Like when I go to bed at night, I have nasal strips on my nose. I got a tape around my mouth so it keeps my mouth closed, so that way I don't do any mouth breathing. So I can really open up my nasal passages and take as much deep breaths as I possibly can, breathing through the night. And when I do that, it allows me to go so much deeper. So these are things you can do, simple stuff, to allow you to get deeper into those elements. Because when I do it, I wake up the next morning, 4:30 in the morning, I'm ready to go. No coffee, none of that. I am ready to take on my morning, get my meditation and breath work in that I love to do first thing, and then get to work doing my computer work, because my mental capacity is really, really high in the morning. And it shows in my work. It shows up in my business then, because all of a sudden my business is going to do better. It grows. I get referrals out of nowhere, and so many other things that start to happen. And I know it's because, again, I'm doing all the things that I necessarily need for my body to take care of it and give it what it needs so it can thrive and be ready to take on whatever the next day is going to be. Again, simple stuff, but sometimes it gets overlooked. And so that's where you can do that. Other things you can do with rest are things like, even naps are great. So I highly recommend them. If you can fit that in your schedule, 10, 15 minutes, no more than 30 minutes. It's a good mental reset. I can't remember what president it was. What's his name? It wasn't Truman. Was it Roosevelt? I can't remember. It was in the 1910s, 20s, maybe even the 30s. But there was a president, if you guys know, who every 12 o'clock, he would take a nap. They would have to schedule things around that. He would take a nap for about 15 to 20 minutes. And it happened I think it was Roosevelt, but 10 to 15 to 20 minutes a day. So they've done studies on this, and it actually shuts down the brain just for a short enough time, but you don't get sleepy. And it allows you to reset everything back for the next period of what you're going to do. Last but not least, a couple of minutes left here, is going to be purification. And I think this is very critical in today's age. Purifying the body, there, we are bombarded with toxins. There is no place in the entire world that doesn't have some form of toxin, like a PVC, fire retardants, things along that nature. We have, it is sprayed. They spray stuff in the air. They spray. It's been. Chemtrails were one thing we used to say. Conspiracy theorists were like, "Oh, that's a conspiracy theory thing," back in like 2008. Well, now states have already said, yes, there's geoengineering. Those things do exist. Those are not conspiracy theories. Even the state of Tennessee that I live in, even though they said they banned them since last year in July, they still happen. That's for federal reasons. But they spray this stuff. And what's in it? Well, there's metals in there. There's heavy metals. Well, heavy metals are in everything. You're seeing more and more. I see more and more reports. There was just a lot of people like Celtic salt. Well, now they have heavy metals, high levels. There's Redmond salt. They have high levels. Everything has heavy metals. Heavy metals disrupt your energy system. We are electrical beings. We create electromagnetic fields. And if you have heavy metals in there, it disrupts the electrical field. I'm not even getting to what heavy metals do to the body physically and chemically. I'm just speaking energetically. It disrupts that field of energy. And when you disrupt that morphogenic field, it's going to open the door to lower consciousness stuff, and you're going to have other things start to show up, whatever that may be. So to really help oneself, like even with fluoride, right? Fluoride in the water, well, it calcifies your pineal gland. When you calcify the pineal gland, it is a lot harder to get into those higher states of consciousness or have a samadhi experience if you do meditation, or just feel more connected and tuned with oneself and nature. It makes it harder in that process when you have these types of heavy metals. So the key factor is things like activated charcoal are good to take at night to help pull 60% of the time. It'll pull stuff out of the body, not heavy metals in general, but it will just help to minimize your toxic load, which allows the body to be more able to handle and take the stress off itself. I can go on and on about so many other things that you can do with that, but I wanted to mention that a little bit. And so when you have these heavy metals, it will disrupt the body, things like mercury and aluminum and all these different things. So the key component is then to, you can do things like cilantro and chlorella has some factors that can kind of purge some of the stuff out. The body has its natural way of doing things. There's more advanced things that you can do, but the key thing is for you guys in today's workshop is just to minimize as much as you can of that and look and see what has it. What you can Google. So if you're going to have something, does this have heavy metals? If it does, how much does it have? And there's a lot of reports coming out about this, and they continue to do that. But then we want to look at purifying your mind and purifying your mental, emotional components, right? Purification of the mind is just focusing on what truly uplifts you. What are things that truly inspire you? What are emotions that you like to favor to? So what are things you enjoy? Those are things you want to make a focus on, because when we can do those things and you do all of that, it's going to help you from an energetic side. It's going to help keep things flowing from the chakra systems in the body. It's going to keep things moving more, and it's going to help you when you do have these blockages that show up, how to process through that and accept and just keep moving forward with that. This is going to help the energy systems and so much more move a lot better, which when we can get these energy systems to move better, you thrive so much more. Because at the end of the day, we only have one body. Technology has not come around yet to transplant one person into another body and anything like that. So this is your meat suit. You want to take care of it as much as you can. And today I wanted to just hit 4 pillars that were simple, straightforward, but they're extremely powerful. Do not underestimate them. The most simplest things are the most powerful things. And I hope today I was able to construct that to you guys, and to help just maybe just focus on one thing that, man, I really felt like I needed this. I don't know. I align with the things he said here and pillar 2 or 3 or 4, but that one right there, I need to do that. I got to work on that. Then for the next 30 days, you commit just to that. And just focus there and do that, and don't look at anything else until it becomes a habit, and then you can move on to something else. That's all I got for today, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
It's a wonderful presentation. I was going back to the introduction to check on the 4 pillars because I know you talked about diet, foods, you talked about exercise, you talked about sleep, and I think I lost track of what the other pillar was.
Purification.
Purification. Okay. And what I guess where I was going with this is what you're talking about is very much in alignment with what the Coptic Fellowship teaches from our founder, Master Hamid Bey. He wrote a number of courses, he did a lot of teaching, and our previous director, John Davis, who took over from Hamid Bey, was fond of talking about diet, exercise, meditation, and then he always talked about those 3 together, and then separately he had talked about the value of service. And at one time when we were doing a marketing planning thing, I took the acronym of all of those, rearranged them, and came up with the acronym of MEDS for meditation, exercise, diet, and service, which are the 4 pillars of the Coptic philosophy. So there's a very close alignment between what you're talking about and what the Coptics attempt to practice.
I know how that goes.
Yep. And I loved a lot of the recommendations that you gave us, especially like 13 miles a day, 13,000 steps a day, trying to get that in. I know I'm sitting at this desk far too often, and a number of years ago, I used to be up on my feet all the time, and I honestly was healthier back then than I am now. So that's something I definitely want to get back to. I like the suggestions about squeezing a pillow or squeezing your fist to release the negative energy and to refocus your mind. And the sleep ritual, that question is something I think a lot of us really do need to ask ourselves. What is our ritual before bedtime so that we can clear our mind, so that we can get quality sleep? I know that in my case, many years ago, I always felt like I needed a minimum of 9 hours of sleep a night just to feel rested. And a couple of years ago, about 2 years ago, I surprised myself because I was doing a series of self-hypnotic sessions. And after a couple of weeks or a couple of months of that, I found that I was getting by on less and less sleep to the point where now, if I get 7 hours of sleep in a night, I'm feeling fine. I'm feeling good. And there's a lot of times where I only get 6 hours of sleep and I'm still doing okay, unless I'm doing that like 5 nights in a row. And then I feel like I need to catch up a little bit. But yeah, that ritual to really clear you out. And like you said, those triggers, those symbols about the red light and the cooler temperatures and those type of things that give your mind and your body that signal that says, okay, we're getting ready now. Let's slide into that sleep state so that we can get that quality sleep in a shorter period of time, which is wonderful. So I really appreciate all of the suggestions you've given us tonight. So I'm going to open up the floor for everyone. Let me get rid of the spotlights here. And if anyone has any questions for Dr. Vic, please let us know.
Dr. Vic, are you familiar with earthing?
Oh, yeah, very much.
Okay. What do you think of that practice?
Oh, it should be a morning thing. I try to do it every morning, but it should be a morning thing to do. I sleep with a grounding sheet, so I get somewhat of it.
Yeah, that's my question. I have a grounding sheet also. Well, I have a grounding pad. And it's not the same. I know I probably shouldn't say that, but I don't think it's the same. It's great if it's really cold and you can't ground, you can't go out and walk barefoot in the snow and things like that. Or it's really cold outside and you're not really able to physically be out there. But in fact, this time of year, I have basically unplugged it because it seems like if I use it too much, it's like it neutralizes me or something. It doesn't energize me anymore. I end up going, bleh. Is that possible? I mean, why is it when I've done that? I seem to be sleeping. I find the other night I just unplugged it and I haven't slept on it because I'm out I'm outside so much. I am getting, I have had 13,000 step days, which is phenomenal for me. Yeah, well, I'm like 76, so that's, a lot. But I've been doing more of that, and I'm outside more, and I'm in the garden more, and I'm dirty all the time, and I'm getting all of that. And I've unplugged it, and I am getting more restful sleep. Now, what do you think about the mat and overdoing it? And I'm not a caveman. I don't want to go live outside all the time.
Yeah, I would say that you're probably getting more sufficient of what you need when you're outside so much, just from what I understand about it. The way I can kind of relate to it is like infrared saunas. I love them. I have one. Great stuff. But I rather get it from the sun. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather get that kind of stuff. I was like, well, no, the infrared, it's a good supplement to everything, but here's the source. I'd rather go there. Same thing with grounding. I have a grounding sheet just to catch up with as much as I can because I don't get grounding as much as I'd like. And it usually will help for the most part. But if I can spend more time outside in nature with my feet on the ground, wet grass, things like that, or I'm outside playing with my daughter for like hours, I think that's sufficient enough to where I don't, and I think you have to experiment it too. So I'm trying not to give like a blanket statement on things. I usually take everything from an individual approach. So you can test it. When you're not walking out so much or outside grounding so much, then sleep with the sheet and see if it does any difference. And give it a couple days. I wouldn't say one night. That's too much. There's too many variables in a one night thing. 5, maybe a week. That'll give you enough time to be like, you know what? No, it is. It's just, yeah, it's the grounding sheet. I have too much grounding going on, or maybe I just had an off night. Maybe I did too much in the day that I'm tired the next morning.
Right.
There's a lot of variables to it.
Well, yeah, and it seemed to be I couldn't when I first had it. Now it could be just my magnetic field too. When I first had it, I could not use it all night long. It just left me like hollow. It's like I neutralized or something. It was too long of a ground or something. I can't explain it. So I went back to using it for a couple hours. It was really great when I took a nap. I got up from a nap and went, yeah. But when I use it for that 8 or 9 hours of sleep, sometimes I wake up the next morning going, oh my, did I sleep? Or was I just glued to the grounding mat? It does help with arthritis. It does wonders for that because it's anti-inflammatory.
Mm-hmm.
But I've noticed I think I'm actually doing a bit better being outside than on the grounding mat.
Yeah, I mean, when we look at it from like a negative ion perspective, right? Because that's what you're absorbing in, and it's one of those things where could you have too much for the system and overload it? There's also, there's too much of a good thing too. If you drink too much water, it's not good for you.
Right.
So that's kind of the philosophy I would look at it, how I would look at it.
Good. I'm not crazy. All right. Because I just feel like sometimes I'm like, I actually feel like my I don't know if I ionize too much or too much of a good thing. And then I'm overwhelmed with it. And then I don't necessarily have the recovery like I would have if I was, let me go barefoot around the yard for all after I forget. I don't have my shoes on. And, knees on the ground, dig it in the ground, and I forget I don't have my gloves on. And, and that contact is much more positive. It seems
Very
like,
much.
yes. And then if I come in and I sleep on the mat, the next day it takes me an hour to roll. Otherwise,
sounds like too much if you ask me.
Okay, that's what I thought too. But I thought this was supposed to be good all the. No, you're right. Too much of a good thing.
It's just like, just to add one more thing, it's like when certain people take certain supplements, it's good to take a break from the supplement so the body can just adapt and go, okay, let's take a break, let the body reassimilate itself, and then go back into it.
Yes. Been there, done that too. Yes. Okay. All right. Well, good. I just wondered if you could overdo a good thing. Of course you can.
I appreciate the question.
All right.
Anybody else have something? Yeah, go ahead, Lori.
Well, I wanted to ask you a couple silly little questions, but Does a Brita filter take the fluoride out of the water?
I don't know if it has a fluoride filter.
No,
I
not
don't think
Brita.
so. Not
No?
Brita, right? I think
Not Brita.
zero. I don't even know if zero does.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
have a Berkey, which
Berkey does.
it has fluoride filters, but you have to get them separate from the other filters.
you do.
Yes.
If you do reverse osmosis, which is what I do, it takes everything out. But Berkey works wonders too because you get the fluoride filter. I used to have Berkey.
hmm
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
I also, oh, well, this is okay. So I just wondered what was going on when you had us do the fist thing where you were holding, like this. Um, I was holding down here, and I'll show you up here. All of a sudden, I mean, just as soon as I started doing that, like really tight, my I started doing this, and I was like, "Oh my God, what's going on?"
Oh,
So
that's good.
was this releasing something?
It can. Well, it's just it's like when you work a muscle, like in yoga, this happens where you do a pose and you shake, or if you're doing a certain, like let's say a plank, and you're all of a sudden starting to shake. It's just you're working that muscle. Some people say the energy doesn't flow that well there, or the nerves are not really fully integrated in there, so you can't hold it so much, so it's weak and it shakes. But that's what you want to do. You want to hold it, and you just want to go and squeeze as hard as you can. Now I'm shaking very minimal. But as the further I get into this, the more I'll start to shake because my body just can't handle it. I'm not used to holding that for 4 minutes is a very long time. It doesn't seem long. It's long. But you'll get that stress or it'll bring more peace. It's actually a relaxation exercise. And when I tell business clients this, I'm like, I'm gonna have you do a relaxation exercise. They're like, what's that? Hold your hands for 4 minutes in the tightest fist you possibly can. They're like, Doc, that sounds stressful. That sounds painful. I'm like, yeah, I want you to do it for 4 minutes. And then you'll automatically go into relaxed state and you'll enjoy it. And then when they do it, they're like, that actually works. I'm like, no kidding. I wouldn't recommend something if I know it doesn't work. There's all this neurology behind it. But long story short, it just gets that stuff out. If you're mad, you can do it that way. I remember I practiced Kundalini yoga and there was we used to do the breath of fire, pushing your shoulders up and down. And then after like 5-10 minutes of doing this, they would have us breathe in and then we have to hold and squeeze as tight as we can. And I'm shaking. Everyone's shaking. And then you release it and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I just felt like 10 pounds of stress came off my shoulders and you just feel better. So it's very, very similar to that, but you're just doing it in the hands instead of having to squeeze and hold the whole time. You could just do it in your hands.
Okay, so just like you can just to release any, like, I don't know, I've had some pain in my neck and my shoulder right here recently. Just kind of hold it up and just hang on to it, let it down, and then just keep doing this for a while.
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay.
Again, it'll create that. Anytime you have like tight muscles, you can look at it in many different ways. There's lack of blood flow there, number one, a lack of oxygen. But if you really want to go deeper, it's lack of energetic flow. Stagnant energy is what's there. And so you move that energy, you can get it moving. And if you get it to move, you'll feel a little better.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, what you're talking about with tightening the fist as a relaxation exercise reminds me of the first time that I actually experienced meditation because I tried and just clear my mind and it never did work until I decided to go the complete opposite direction. And it's like, okay, how busy can I make my mind? Can I focus on every single thing that's happening in the environment? Can I see everything, hear everything, feel everything? And I just amped everything up to such a high level that eventually I burned myself out and I just dropped into that clear space. And it's like, wow.
It's so cool how that works. So I used to, when I first got into meditation, I think I was 16, and it was always after workouts. I'd work out because they talk about getting emotions out and all this. So I always say working out saved my life because anytime I was a very frustrated, angry kid. And I always said, I'm going to take it out in the iron. And so I would lift. And then after I go in the sauna, these are dry saunas, and I just go into this space. Like I could just close my eyes and I felt like I was sleeping. I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I didn't really get into meditation until like 19 when I really started practicing it. But I was like, that's a cool place. I felt really good after. I'm like, maybe I just fell asleep. I don't know. But I kept that pattern up, and a lot of my deep meditations would be after like a workout or now I can do it like you're probably yourself also, you get to the point where you're like, nah, I can meditate pretty much any time now.
Yeah, once you know where that place is, it's easy to get back to it.
You could say that again. Love it.
So, anybody else have any questions they want to?
I'd like to ask a question if I could.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would wonder, I have spine problems, so I have problems with movement. I don't know how to overcome that. I have problems with activities of most everything. I mean, even throwing a ball in the swimming pool bothers me. It's in all three areas of my spine. I had spinal surgery 20 years ago. I hadn't been bedridden since then, but twice. And then I went to my granddaughter's, uh, she graduated high school and it was at a stadium, and I've been unable to move since then, and that was on May 15th.
Oh, wow. That doesn't sound too good. So the question is, what can you do, if I'm assuming?
Exactly.
Yeah. Find a very good chiropractor. That's what I would highly recommend. It's one of the things where there's a lot of, you remember I talked about there's about 70% of the motion of the spine feeds the brain. And so this is where chiropractic plays a huge role. I know we're looked at as neck pain, back pain, and headache docs, but that's nothing. We don't treat anything. We don't treat any illness, condition, symptom, or disease. We don't, we use the spine as the pathway of communication to get it better so that the brain and body can communicate better. And then also stimulate the self-healing, self-regulating mechanisms. So if you had spinal surgery, there's they trying to choose my words carefully. There's definitely going to need to be work of some way, shape, or form, just based on the data that I know about it. So it's that alone. Finding a good chiropractor will be a game changer. It'll be a long journey, but it'll be a game changer for you to help you get more mobile, to be able to do some of the things that you're limited to do as we speak.
And what's the best way I could find a good chiropractor? What should I look for?
Where are you located?
I'm located in Bradenton, Florida.
Bradenton, Florida. Let me
Close to
see.
Sarasota.
Close to how close are you to Sarasota?
It's probably about a half hour south of us.
So how you spell it? Braden, Brden?
Bradenton.
All right, let me see here. I'm literally looking up some referrals for you as we speak. Yeah, because there's a lot of variables to it. One thing is, I always tell people, you're looking for a chiropractor, you want to make sure they don't talk about pain and that make that the emphasis. They talk about the healing of the whole body, the nervous system. They're very nervous system focused. Those are the ones that you want to look for when it comes to that. I'm looking at this one here, but because we don't, again, when I say we don't treat any condition, symptom, illness, or disease, then you're like, what do I go to a chiropractor for? Well, because we're going to work on the nervous system. And that's what you want them to focus on, is the nervous system. That's that's going to be the game changer. But I'm just looking to see if somebody does a technique that I do. But I don't know. I can find out how to get that to you somehow. Because I can look and see who practices. There's a certain technique I do that I'm a big fan of. And it's basically accessing your nervous system to see what your nervous system tells us it needs, and then we address it based on that, rather than the chiropractor saying, well, this doesn't move well, let me move this, or that doesn't do this, let me do that. Instead, we can literally communicate with the body to say, what's the body need, and make an addressing of that. But if there's a way, Ellen, that I'm able to get that information to her once I find it, I don't know if I can email you, Ellen, or somebody, I can get that over. That would make it a little easier.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you can do that.
Cool.
Okay.
It'll take me a minute. It'll take me a minute to look not only just who's in the area, which I do see I see already a ton of referrals, but probably at least 7 right now. But I'm looking for that specific technique. If I can't find that, then I'll look at the next level.
All right. Thank you.
No, my pleasure.
Okay, so just checking one more time, see if anyone else has anything they want to bring up. Otherwise, we'll start closing things down. And so before we completely close this out, let's go ahead and do a centering meditation. And so just go ahead and loosen up any muscles that need to be loosened. If you want to tighten something, and then let it release and relax. And as it relaxes, just notice how your body settles into the surface beneath you, into the chair. Take a nice deep breath. And as you exhale, focus on releasing all you no longer need. And just allow that cycle of breathing to bring fresh, clean energy in and releasing the negativity as your body further relaxes into the surface beneath you. And as your body continues to relax, you can focus your mind on a space inside, a space where you are connected to the divine, where you have access to all of the universe through your divine connection. And as you separate from the world outside to connect even more fully to the world within, to that divine space which connects us all, you can allow yourself to just open to that wonderful divine love, that wonderful energy of wisdom and power. And through this divine connection, we can send a message out into the world. Thank you for all that we are able to enjoy in this life. And please send blessings to all those who need them. And as we focus on doing good work through our divine connection, there is a harmonic resonance which is set up, which vibrates our energy centers into alignment with the divine, which brings us into a higher state of perfection so that we can be of even greater service to the world. And for this and so many other blessings that we experience on a daily basis, we say thank you, thank you, thank you. And it is so. And with that, I wish everyone a good evening, a good week, and a wonderful road ahead. We'll see you next time. Take care.